Prince George steps up on Remembrance Week.
It's an apprenticeship, isn't it?
His future is inevitable, and they are very gradually introducing him into that public life.
But the big question is his dad going to let him have a phone?
He's 12.
And he has no phones?
No phones.
No way.
It's getting to the point where it's becoming a little bit of a tense issue.
There will come a point that his friends will have it, but he won't.
It is going to be a challenge for them. They've got children growing up in an age of social media.
And our guest tells us what not to do when you meet the king. Did you fall into the king?
He had to catch me. I fell into his lap, picked me up, and he did it. Oh, how many Pims have you had? And I was like, brilliant.
Hello and welcome to Talking Royals. I'm Charlene White, and Chris and Lizzie are back in the studio, having abandoned me for Brazil last week.
I can't believe last week we were talking to you from the middle of a tropical rainforest. Well, ornamental garden, that's the thing.
Well, or as our guest last week said, you're just in the hotel garden.
Yeah.
We weren't, genuinely.
Not quite that,
Promise.
but we weren't deep in the rainforest.
Okay. We also have the absolutely brilliant Anna Williamson with us in the studio as well. You have been a part of the King's Trust, 15 years now?
Yeah, I think it might even be more than that. I've been doing it longer than I care to remember, to be honest, but it's without a doubt one of my favourite things to do. And yeah, you get a lot of very interesting insight into the royals, actually.
Well, I tell you what, you've got some incredible stories about the king.
They're embarrassing.
And considering this is his birthday
Embarrassing
week.
for him or embarrassing for you?
Always for me.
Well, considering it's his birthday this week, we'll be able to share a lot of banterish bants from you regarding the king. But this week we had a lot of remembrance events, obviously, because that's what we do at this time of year. And what was really interesting is I feel as though it was another step forward for Prince George in terms of him being, unleashed into the public sphere. Am I correct thinking that?
Yeah, Remembrance is a massive part of the royal calendar. It's like inked in there, in thick black pen at the beginning of November. And actually, one of the reasons why they had to move the Leaders' Summit at the COP30 UN Climate Change Summit in Brazil was because a lot of the European leaders, including Prince William, needed to be back for Remembrance Sunday. But it's a really, really big week. And because William wasn't quite back from Brazil, well, in stepped Prince George to take his place with his mother.
And how old is George now?
George is 12, so he's stepping in for his dad effectively in quite a big way. And earlier in the year, didn't he? He did an event at Buckingham Palace on when they had the victory in Europe, the VE celebrations, and it's a kind of way of introducing him to the things he might well be doing when he's older.
Yeah, I think we've seen over the last few years with George, with all the children, this very careful introduction to public engagements. William spoke in the Eugene Levy interview he did about how careful they are shielding the children, protecting them, allowing them to have a kind of a normal upbringing. But his future is inevitable, and they are very gradually introducing him into that public life. And this year he has had two very important moments. He met veterans at the VE Day anniversary, and he was really, you could tell sort of watching him how interested he was in their stories, talking to them. And again, he accompanied the Princess of Wales to the Festival of Remembrance. We're told not to see it as him stepping in for his father. He was there with his mother, but it's a really important moment for him. And of course, one day he is going to be Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. And we do know the Princess was talking this week about how George really loves building airfix models, how he's fascinated by a Lancaster bomber. So this is an area that he's really interested in, and I think that's great given what his future looks like.
But Anna, what we can't underestimate, I think, you, like the rest of us, do a lot of stuff on big public spheres, huge public events. For a 12-year-old boy to be involved in such huge moments within British culture in front of huge crowds, it's a big deal, isn't it?
I mean, it's an apprenticeship, isn't it? And I think what is lovely on one hand for Prince George is that everyone's rooting for him. I think how can you not root for a little boy that we've all watched since the moment he was born? But you can only imagine what nobody can relate to that young man ever. Nobody can relate to that other than possibly his father
and grandfather, of course.
And grandfather,
yes.
And I think, but for a young boy in this day and age, I mean, in fact, Prince George, when I share the same birthday, but I have a boy who's
not
9.
exactly the same day.
Yeah.
No?
Well, yeah, I am 12. Can I just say the facials are working, Chris?
Yes. Very well, can I add? Very well.
You're very kind. Who am I kidding? But I don't know about the rest of you, but I think for anybody, particularly parents, I have a son who's 9, and I think, gosh. My son barely, walks out the house looking, put together and, and I think here is a young man, only a couple of years older than my son. And I think from what we see is being parented beautifully, and the juggle for them to give them a normal upbringing, which in a very unnormal family and lifestyle, and the inevitable that will happen with him, I think is extraordinary. And from what I don't know them personally. I see what everybody else sees, but it seems as though they are doing a really great job. And I think this little gentle, letting him have an apprenticeship into it can only be a good thing.
I do remember thinking that both during the coronation, but also during the funeral of his great-grandmother, the late Queen, what you must think when you walk in somewhere like Westminster Abbey and you kind of think, oh my goodness, this is what's coming my way someday, and how you process that as a 12-year-old.
I wonder if he even does, though. I mean, but children are actually very resilient, and I think as long as you are educating children in a child-appropriate way, they are actually a lot stronger and tougher than I think we often give them credit for, and I think we can see that in Prince George.
They are always impeccably behaved when they're out in public. I said a minute ago, we don't see lots of them in public, but when we do, they behave beautifully. And I remember I did an engagement with
sometimes
them.
Prince Louis has other...
I love it.
But you're all rooting for Louis.
But I always...
We kind of want that, don't we?
Let's be honest, it's all about Louis, isn't it? But Louis. I do wonder, being a mother of children of a similar age, I mean, I know what I'm like with my kids when it comes to just family events or, an event that you want them on good behaviour. I mean, the telling off and the you will do's. I mean, I do wonder if they do all that.
I'd like to imagine William and Kate at some point sort of screaming at their kids, hurry up and get ready, we've got to go. Just like
get your shoes on. Get your shoes on.
Yeah, my kids are very used to mummy's screaming voice. But William has been talking about parenting. He spoke to a Brazilian TV host, let's get the name correct, Luciano Huck, and he was talking about the challenges of parenting. And what's really interesting about one of the themes that he talked about in this interview was that he talked about whether or not he was going to give George a phone, and which several of the younger royals of that generation, I'm talking about Harry, William, Meghan and Kate, of course, they've all been talking about phones and kids. So, they're aligned where phones are concerned, but they're not aligned with each other. But let's see what William had to say.
It's really hard. Our children don't have phones. I think when George moves on to secondary school, then maybe he might have a phone that has no internet access.
But now how is he now?
He's 12.
And he has no phones?
No phones.
No way.
And to be honest, it's getting to the point where it's becoming a little bit of a tense issue. But I think he understands why. We communicate why we don't think it's right. And again, I think it's the internet access I have a problem with.
Conversation. It's a conversation that parents up and down the country are also having regarding their kids, Chris.
Yeah, and doing it in a cable car as well. Yeah. He's going up to Sugarloaf Mountain at the very beginning. Actually, the presenter who was talking to him there was the one who presented the Earthshot Awards last week. So they obviously got to know each other quite well. But yeah, I completely agree with you. Like we've already learned that George, Charlene and Louis don't have any phones, not just at the dinner table, never. At all. But there will come a point, of course, particularly for George, who's 12 and will be going into sort of more senior schooling, that his friends will have it, but he won't. Or as William said there, he'll have a phone without any internet access. Well, there's that balance to strike as a parent, isn't there, between keeping them sort of up to date and in contact and doing what everyone else is doing, but protecting them from the worst of social media and the addiction to phones.
We've seen him open up a lot recently, haven't we, about family life and kind of what life is really like for them. And as you say, it's the kind of conversation that lots of parents will be able to relate to up and down the country, not just because they're members of the royal family, but they do, it is going to be a challenge for them. They've got children growing up in an age of social media, and how are they going to navigate that with children that they are trying to protect from the public glare and the public spotlight. How do they navigate that? So it's challenges ahead for them, I think.
It's humanised them, though. I think William in that interview, I think really has done even more to make him feel like he is one of us, similar age, similar challenges, as you say, but to shield any child, I think, from the digital age that we're in, which is brilliant on so many levels, but is obviously a very risky path in other ways. I can only imagine how you would be shielding the future king in Prince George. I mean, how much do you give him access to? How much do you not? But then the peer. I mean, it's an impossible task.
It's really hard, and I know you sort of alluded to it earlier on, but you've sort of all got royals of a similar age who have children who are across the spectrum age-wise. Wouldn't it be great if the messages that they are given across was a bit less disjointed, Chris, if they as a group were able to, how powerful that would be if as a group they became aligned with such strong messaging when it comes
a bit like when William, Kate and Harry were doing the messages on mental health, and they were doing it all three of them together. And you kind of think if things were a bit different, that William could pick the phone up to his brother and say, we've decided to do this with our kids about phones, what are you doing? And of course they don't have that conversation, they simply don't have that relationship. So, but you're right to say much more powerful if they could all align on
and we talk about soft power a lot, and when we think about the power that those four could have, and I know they've got internal struggles where their individual relationships are concerned. Sometimes I guess there's a part of me that sort of feels, but if you're able to just deal with that in private, but come together in public, especially when we've got millions of parents around the world who are trying to figure out how to protect their children when it comes to social media, that's what soft power is amongst the royals. And there is an element of feeling like if you could just deal with that stuff, but actually just do the stuff that we need you to do as a society.
I think that just shows you just how fractured the relationship is. The fact that they can't park the private and separate out the public, it shows you just the state of the relationship between them. And I think the idea of them coming together on anything at the moment it feels impossible.
There's also an issue as well that they've got to be careful of, that they do live in houses which are much bigger than everyone else's, that they have staff that lots of other people don't have. If you are a parent who's got 2 jobs you're holding down and you're not in the house in the evening when your kids are meant to be doing their homework, it's actually quite hard to keep them off their phones. So I think they do have to balance that kind of messaging with real life as well for many people.
Yeah, parenting is parenting. Kids in this age are kids in this age.
I'm with you, Charlene. I think if it would be wonderful if they could do that. I think I do a lot of work around mental health campaigning, and we talk about when Prince Harry, back in the day, opened up about his struggles with mental health. It did more for destigmatizing mental illness in that one interview than decades of campaigning about it did. And I think the same would be for parenting, social media, and what millions of us are trying to grapple.
Yeah, and one thing he did also speak to the Brazilian host about was about how much they talk to the children about the struggles that the family has had in the past year, 18 months. And again, a really relatable point for those who don't necessarily know how or if they should have conversations with children about difficult subjects. Let's take a listen.
We choose to communicate a lot more with our children. Now that has its good things and its bad things. Sometimes you feel you're oversharing with the children, you probably shouldn't. But most of the time, hiding stuff from them doesn't work. And so explaining how they feel, why that's happening, give them other viewpoints as to why they might be feeling like they are, sometimes helps give them a bigger picture, and they can relax more into it rather than be really anxious about what are you hiding from me, what do I not know, why is that happening. There's a lot more questions when there's no answers. But it's always a balancing act. I mean, every parent knows that.
Chris, why there are so many interviews that William have given which are very intimate. They are very revealing in so many different ways. We spoke when he did Eugene Levy and has now done it with Luciano, who's a Brazilian TV host. Why is he choosing to do these open up moments with international media?
He's choosing to do them because he knows that domestic media will probably ask those kind of questions, but then go on to ask perhaps questions about Uncle Andrew or about his relationship with Harry. And if you've got a host who's tied into Earthshot, as this particular host was, he's less likely to want to rock the boat, clearly. Right. I did just wonder, looking at them going in the cable car, whether he only had the distance of the cable car to do the interview, or whether it had to go up and round and back down again in order to get all the questions in.
when we've got so much happening regarding Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the gentleman formerly known as Prince Andrew, because we had just this week more email drops, more Jeffrey Epstein email drops between Andrew and Epstein.
Yes, you have to remember to say Andrew, not Prince
I know,
Andrew,
and it's really hard to remember.
Yes.
Yeah, but anyway,
Andrew Mountbatten - Windsor. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. But yes, more emails are coming out from the US. I mean, there are actually thousands of files that this particular Senate committee has got. More have come out about exchanges and conversations they've had around 2011, for example, around that now infamous picture of the then Prince Andrew with his arm around his later accuser Virginia Giuffre. So, yeah, and that is going to be the risk. And that's exactly why Buckingham Palace put that distance between the institution of monarchy and Andrew Mountbatten Windsor a couple of weeks ago, so that when these things keep coming out, as they will do, that there is a little bit more distance between them and him.
And one thing we always have to say is that Andrew's always denied any wrongdoing regarding the allegations that have been put towards him.
So just picking up on what Chris was saying there about his name, it came out this week that it's actually going to be Andrew Mountbatten - Windsor, and that is because of something that dates back to 1960, a Privy Council declaration around the Queen's wishes that the name would be hyphenated. So from now on, you will see it used with a hyphen.
Although the name they agreed with him when they did the announcement 2 weeks ago was without the hyphen.
Yeah.
They've now inserted it, and they will use that hyphen going forward.
Yeah, just if you were confused, go through the archive and go, oh, I've got that a bit wrong actually.
Yeah, and there's a whole
hyphen.
There's a whole discussion about that. In those days it was because his father Prince Philip wanted his name on the birth certificate somewhere because everything else was in the mother's name.
So we now
Windsor.
remember it. Andrew Mountbatten - Windsor.
Yes, soon to be the ex-resident of Royal Lodge in Windsor and will be living in Sandringham.
Definitely a mouthful. We're going straight into the King's birthday. Everyone say happy
77.
birthday, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
7 this week.
A little bit more enthusiastic.
Well,
Can we sing?
Goodness
When
me.
do you want to start singing happy birthday to you?
No, just like say with enthusiasm,
happy
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
See, Anna knows the assignment.
Exactly.
There we go.
So he's turned 77.
Yes.
And he has been hanging out in Wales. He was in Wales for his birthday, wasn't he?
He was, yes. He was in South Wales on his birthday doing 3 engagements, one of which was at Cyfarthfa Castle, which I had to ask our Wales correspondent to help me with the pronunciation. So thank you always to Rhys for that. But it's just another example of how the King doesn't take his birthday off. Just as we remember a few years ago when he celebrated the anniversary of being Prince of Wales and he went horse logging in a wood. I think it also was in Wales.
Wales, yeah.
Literally sort of dragging big logs out of the wood with a horse. That's the kind of thing he likes to do on his birthday, and he was doing more of that with the Queen this week.
He was also appearing on the front cover of Country Life.
Yes.
Because he's been renovating Sandringham's gardens over the last 3 years, and his dad used to do it, and he's taken over. He looks nice and relaxed and happy and healthy, and that's really
Alan Titchmarsh.
He's giving Alan Titchmarsh.
He is giving Alan vibes.
That's his happy place.
Really
Look at him, a bit of pruning. Actually, I've spoken before to police protection officers who say, for example, at Highgrove, they obviously have to go with him wherever he goes, even on his day off, and they end up doing the sort of pruning and the weeding with him, and he'll just leave little sort of piles of weeds sort of dotted about the place that staff will come round and pick up. I mean, you can't say he doesn't get involved.
No.
And the thing with Sandringham was he's made it all organic. So that involved kicking out the people who used to make a famous drink made from blackcurrants, and they had to leave because they weren't organic. And now he's transformed the entire place in his image.
Yeah. Now you've met the King on numerous occasions, as I mentioned earlier. You've done a lot of work with the King's Trust.
I have, yeah.
You've also, unfortunately, had some rather embarrassing moments with the King as well.
I don't know why it's always me, Charlene, but every time I have met His Majesty, or the boss, as we call it, if you work at the King's Trust, obviously was the Prince's Trust, now it's the King's Trust, and I'm still trying to...
You still struggle with that as well?
I really do, because it's been way over 15 years. It's probably been even longer than that.
Yeah.
So the Prince's Trust, Prince Charles, it's what we were so used to, and now the King's Trust, and I am still trying to kind of get my tongue around it, so to speak. But the first time I met His Majesty, I did have a rather embarrassing incident where I didn't listen to, and I was asking you this, the equerry or his man, I will call it, sort of the gentleman that sort of, because it was all very informal, he's quite dressed down, cradling his
little
drink.
bowls of canapés.
And it was all little bowls of canapés. And
you always need two hands
you
to
do
eat.
need two hands,
You
I
need
know.
a fork and a thing,
Yeah.
and what do you do with the drink? And
This is it, and
then suddenly the king's there.
And then and as you will know, and I'm sure, I know many people won't, but it is very, very normal. And I know it sounds odd to say it's normal, but it is. It is like just standing in someone's back garden. There's only sort of 50, 60 of us having a few drinks, and his man came over and said, His Majesty's going to pop over and have a chat in a minute because he likes to circulate, obviously, and give everyone his time. He said probably best put that little finger bowl of risotto down when it doesn't look nice. If you don't have.
He was looking out for you.
He had my back,
Yeah,
Charlene.
yeah,
You don't want to have stuff in your teeth or whatever. Well, I sort of ignored him and then got a bit flappy and flustered, being the first time I met him, and had a couple of clangers really. So as he came along, again, I didn't listen to the instructions on do you curtsy or not. As you will know, you don't have to. It's nice if you do, but you wait for him to pop his hand out and call him sir.
Yes.
Well, I got it all wrong.
And you'd had
I'd had a couple of pims, Charlene. I went to curtsy. I didn't fully commit. I should have done. So I sort of stumbled in the crazy paving and fell into...
Did you fall into the king?
He had to catch me. I fell into his lap. It was like something out of Motherland, seriously. I fell into his lap. He had to stop and pull me up. I then proceeded to flap.
Did you still have the risotto in your hand?
Still had the risotto. Because I then
survived.
extra flat, and I have this thing when I'm nervous, the waffling just goes on overdrive.
Yeah.
So extra waffling. I still had a mouth sort of full of risotto, and then spat a bit of pea onto His Majesty's cheek.
While still
Onto his cheek.
sort of
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So not only did he have to discreetly remove, can I say, an expert pea risotto remover, he had to move that, pick me up, and he did it. Oh, how many pims have you had? And I was like, brilliant. My first time representing the trust.
Wow.
Did they invite you back?
Well, I say to them now all the time. I mean, I just went into overdrive doing more work for them just to justify my role. But it sort of has become a bit of a running joke, and I've met him on many occasions since. I'm sort of the royal filler when it comes to the annual King's Trust Awards.
Do they have you down now as the pea shooter? Invite the pea shooter along.
But
Does he mention it?
No, he doesn't mention it, but he does now look at me. There was another time when I was flapping about and I fell over a load of cables because I'm always running around doing the red carpet thing, and then I often have to sort of hold him and have a bit of small talk with him before he goes
You say
on.
not like hold him.
Not hold him.
Right.
No.
Hold him back.
But he does look at me and he does do a double take. Oh, no, not you. It's me,
Remove
sir.
the risotto. Remove the risotto.
It's me.
Oh, I
But
love
a
that.
very, very sweet man. And as you will know, very, very down to earth. And he makes everybody he meets feel $1 million.
That'll be why the finger food is no longer risotto.
Yeah,
ruined it.
because of you.
Fish fingers,
Come to mention
chips.
it, yeah.
Actually, you joke.
No loose peas
I do
anywhere.
think I did hear actually someone say, there's been a few incidents with the king.
There was this one woman, you. But you know what? He has got. He's got something about him, I think.
He has.
Some people might argue you can't really call a king normal, but he is very personable.
Yes.
And he does try really hard to make people feel at ease.
Yeah.
And he too understands, the joys of having a couple of drinks where you're at an event. And part of our archive today is about that, because on his 31st birthday, he hung out with
Wow, this is some time ago.
wonderful Shirley Bassey, and they shared a couple of drinks. I mean,
I love the way she hides it behind her back.
Yeah. Do we know what his favourite tipple is? Like officially?
He likes.
I'd like to think that
Champagne.
champagne hidden in a glass of like apple
and some,
juice.
and some English wine. But most of the time, you just see him with a cup of tea. To be fair, when he's on official engagement, you don't these days see him drink alcohol. He's always got a cup of tea in his hand. I've never seen him sip it, but he's got it there.
Drink it, yeah. But you're right. He's he's very personable, and I was once very lucky to take my mum with me to it was St James's Palace, and there was another lovely reception we'd had there, and my mother, who had basically, lived her whole life to meet him. She really admires him. And again, I remember it was the moment, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I feel I'd made it in my eyes and my mother's eyes.
In your family.
In my family, when I was able to say, "Excuse me, sir, I'd really like to introduce my mother to you.
Really
She's a really big supporter of your work." And for me to be able to then see my mother meeting, the now king, and he was so lovely to her. They were same age, talking about ailments. It was lovely, and say he made her feel like $1 million, and he does.
That's a really lovely gift to give your mum, actually.
Trust me, I'm still dining out on it.
Right, I'm going to go back to William and sort of to international stuff, but talking about Dancing with the Stars, which is the American version of Strictly Come Dancing.
Yes.
So one of the contestants on Dancing with the Stars this year is Robert Irwin, who is Steve Irwin's son. Steve Irwin
being an environmentalist and Australian and a naturalist, and Robert Irwin, his son, has been massively involved with Earthshot. In fact, we saw him in London just a few months ago, promoting the event that we've just had in Brazil, and he's now affectionately known as Twinkle Toes, or that's at least what William calls him.
Yeah, Robert is an ambassador for the Earthshot Prize. He's done a lot of work with William on the prize, but he couldn't be in Rio because he's doing so well with his partner Whitney in Dancing with the Stars. And so instead of coming to Rio dialed in to Robert and his partner and surprised them during one of their rehearsal sessions. Should we take a look?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. How are you?
Hey,
oh my god.
Robert, how are you doing?
How was Rio?
Going really well. The finalists this year were really going to go on and save the world. We're missing you, Robert. Whilst your twinkle toes are going off elsewhere, I need you down here.
What? We are doing this dance for Bindi, and we're doing this dance for Prince William.
Like Whitney.
Whitney's face was like...
Just like, what?
A casual FaceTime from the future king.
When Robert signed up to the show, he said to William, "Don't worry about it. I'll be out by then. I'll be in Rio. I'll be there." And he's doing really well. And William said, you guys really could win this. And actually, I don't know if you've seen some of the performances, but he's a really talented dancer, so maybe he could.
Do you know what, though? We do also have a talented dancer amongst our flock.
We do.
We do.
We do.
Now, I know how much our viewers, both our domestic and international viewers, love a bit of backstage action. And they'll also be aware that we have a WhatsApp group amongst us where we chat about, work, obviously, and then other stuff. We often get random messages from Chris that relates to work.
where this is going.
Not at all. But suddenly this week, you revealed, Lizzie, that you'd done a bit of filming with Chris that didn't make it to the main telly, didn't make it to our programme last week on Talking Royals.
And should have stayed in the WhatsApp group.
No. Whatever goes into the WhatsApp group should be shared.
You are welcome, is all I can say.
I am so happy with you because... Explain exactly what it is that we are about to watch.
It was an event we were at to be welcomed to Brazil, at which some of us were invited to partake in the musical percussion. Others amongst us decided to refuse to partake.
To capture the moment
and
for
to film.
the audience.
To capture the moment because these sort of moments really do need to be captured. Let's take a look.
Oh, come on. Okay, so far so good.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2,
Okay,
3,
so
4.
essentially,
we've slow-moed it as well, haven't we?
I can't work out if you're in rhythm or not, but I know what are you doing?
I am concentrating. It's almost as if I've got my tongue out. I'm concentrating so much. Like kids do at school.
He
that
was
thing.
Concentrating so hard. 1, 2, 3.
But it wasn't
How
just
does it
1, 2,
go?
3, 4. It was long, short, short, long.
Long, short.
Long, short, short, long.
We were
long,
all
short,
we
short,
were all
long.
joking. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. And Chris said, "I don't think you guys understand
How difficult that
hard
was."
this is."
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't more of a perfect Englishman abroad clip that we could possibly have had in this show. Other than that, Chris.
Well, next time I will challenge you to
Oh, darling,
improve
I've
on my
got rhythm. I'm good.
Chris, I thought you looked adorable.
Thank you very much.
But
it was like one of those classes they give you about
Yes.
sort of like keeping your brain active when you're older. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think it's the first time Chris has ever had someone call him adorable.
well, I think we
You can come again.
I think we all had
Fact.
the second-hand
Next
embarrassment
week you
there
can
for Chris.
sit in,
Let's be
you
honest.
can sit in that chair. Next
I will not
Shade.
be calling you adorable. Anna, it's been such a joy to have you. I hope you've had fun.
I have loved it. I want to come back because you know what? The banter on this show is next level. I want in.
Elite.
I want in.
Yeah, elite banter, that's what we do.
Yeah.
You should be in the WhatsApp group because
I've decided I'm going to
more
come
of
in.
that,
But
yeah.
the problem for you, Chris, is that I can go in hard. So you know,
Okay.
yeah, you might not
And you
want
see,
me.
because Lizzie's been very reserved because there is other footage that we could have shown, but we decided we can only really take it so far with you, Chris. We will save that
so
for Christmas. That is it from us. You can hear us talking royals every week by subscribing wherever you get your podcast. Don't forget, we've got that brilliant back catalogue with a range of royal topics, so you can have a watch of them over the next 7 days until we see you next time.